This is a Masterpiece Arms Defender in 9mm. This is the Glock mag variant. I chose the Glock mag variant because I have a bunch of Glock mags since forever, but also because I think the Glock mag variant probably adds a layer of reliability and reduces some of the complexity that the traditional version of these, the straight stick mags, have, right? Glock mags are feeding from a single position. The traditional mags for these are feeding from both sides of the mag. So that's why I chose the Glock mag variant. I chose this style of Mac in general because, well, number one, you guys said review a Mac. So I thought of all the Mac designs, including, like, I'll say Uzis, I'll throw in there too, this one was the best candidate for a cheek pistol because it is a side charger and it has a top rail already mounted to it that goes far forward on the gun. Another key feature that I look for in cheek pistols, like ground up cheek pistols like this, is a manual safety. So this manual safety is okay. It's nothing to write home about, but it does the job. And it's where I want it as a right-handed shooter. So general footprint of this gun is just one that would lend itself well to being cheeked. And if you're just looking at this and handling this gun without firing it, it is a very comfortable, easy to cheek gun in a very small platform. So I can see why you guys asked, several of you asked specifically for this variant. I get it, yeah. And all the pros that you saw in that, they exist. I'm going to talk to you about the issues that I have had while shooting a couple hundred rounds through this gun. So, number one, I'll just put it out there. I'm not a big fan of these guns after shooting them. As a cheek pistol, even if I were to SBR this gun, I wouldn't really be a fan of it for a few reasons. So, number one, you cannot shoot this gun left-handed very well, right? Any left hand over there is going to cover this up. I guess if I SBR'd it, I could put that down here, but then what? There's no ambi safety on here, so that's problematic. And the safety in general being on the trigger finger to actuate it, not a big fan of that design. So the side charging handle, it's all right, and actually it's kind of cool that that side charging handle acts as a hand stop when I'm shooting it right-handed. Cool, but you know, it still kind of makes this a thick design, thick chunky design when I'm going to carry this or whatever. And if I were to carry this or use this, I just want to note, this is a big heavy gun. This is more than 5 pounds when it's loaded with like a Glock stick, as opposed to this, a much larger overall size gun. This is a ½ pound lighter than this is. So yeah, this is a chunky design. A lot of that weight is part of the issue, and where the weight is a big issue. This is a traditional blowback design. Most centerfire pistol caliber guns are direct blowback design, and that design sucks for recoil mitigation. They are high recoil guns. There's a lot of reciprocating mass in there, and the only thing that keeps this gun in battery as it fires is the mass of the bolt. There's no special high tension springs. There's no other geometry tricks there. It's just mass. So every time you fire it, that entire mass is recoiling and striking the back of the receiver here. And if it's stocked, it's a sharp impulse into the shoulder. If it's not stocked, it's also a sharp impulse. If you've ever shot an AR in 9mm, you understand this, because all of the ARs in 9mm recoil harder than their 5.56 counterparts, regardless of tuning, regardless of what you do. The only ones that shoot anywhere close to being the same as 5.56 softness are like radial delay or roller block delay designs, stuff like the CMMG Banshee or the MP5 locking systems. So if you want softer recoil, those are the two designs I'd point you towards. But these blowback designs, especially on this Mac here, it's kind of oppressive. It's not a fun gun for me to shoot because there's so much snap to it. Yeah, so snappy gun, and the design on the Max is one that I've heard multiple accounts of them firing out of battery. Not a really big deal to me for 9mm because this is a chunky ass design. I'm pretty sure you could have a detonation in this gun and it's not even gonna bend the receiver at all. You wouldn't even notice, aside from it, shooting the mag out on the ground. So not a danger risk, but just it's just kind of Stone Age gun design. I'm not a big fan of direct blowback stuff. Yeah, the other big issue here is the trigger. The trigger on these guns is not great. On all of these style of guns, the trigger is like a single stage AK style trigger. Imagine shooting an AK with the worst trigger slap you've experienced and then put it in a little tiny gun like this. That's what these have. With the exception of these triggers are an extremely short reset as well. So one problem that I have for these as defense, if you can get past the stinging sensation that you will have, the bruised trigger finger that you will have after a long day of shooting these, well, you are going to likely encounter some accidental bump issues. When I say that, what I mean is one of the reasons why these guns are so popular with like range bubbas and thugs is because they are the easiest to bump fire design arguably ever made. When you press the trigger on this, so you've got a clear gun, no mag in here. When you press the trigger on this gun, it's relatively short and light trigger press, but as you charge the gun or as the gun actually recoils, the bolt comes back and slaps your finger. You saw that bump on my trigger finger so hard that if you're not pinning the trigger to the rear, oftentimes it will bump your trigger finger forward and discharge the gun again under the vibration. So not at all a full auto, but it's kind of like that forced reset thing. Now, if you're deliberate about it every single time, there's no way that it'll happen. But if you're light on that trigger, approaching it from, let's say, a braced position to do slow fire in, and you're doing a slow fire trigger press and just gradually bringing the trigger to the rear, well, what can happen is bang, and your weight of your trigger finger on the trigger is enough to where that bump resets the trigger and does that. That was a reset and a trigger press. As I was trying to do some slow fire groups to test accuracy with this, I found a couple things. One of them I found is, no surprise here, it's a fixed barrel design. It is an accurate gun. It'll hold all shots inside of a 10 ring on a B8 target at 25 yards. So inside something like that, 3-inch group at 25 yards. Pretty good for 9mm performance there. The other thing I found is when you're trying to do that slow fire, when I'm trying to do that slow fire, my trigger press often results in a bump. And that's a no-go for me, big time. This having the recoil that it does, the snap in your hand, plus that slap of the trigger resetting as the bolt travels to the rear, it's enough where it will very frequently create bump fire. I don't ever want that, guys. if you're gonna get a select fire gun and go through the trouble, get one that is really, really predictable, right? That's what you want, is firing exactly the amount of rounds that you want to every single time with no question in your mind. What is not acceptable ever is a gun that sometimes will put 2 or 3 out there when you're desiring a slow fire controlled press shot. That's what I got here. Now, when I was doing deliberate hammers and more deliberate hard press drills, like defense drills, I didn't see that issue. But the fact that when I tried to get on this with some sort of precision and it was bump firing on me, the fact that that happened at all, no thanks, guys. It's a no-go for me. Some of you guys may love that feature. I will say, be careful with that and don't ever do it at a range that I'm at, because I despise that. It's just, it's not the safest thing. So yeah, when I was experiencing this, I guess I'll say the only plus side to that is that the cyclic rate on these is so high that the shot dispersion between the first and second shot in those strings was pretty controlled. At 25 yards, I was getting the first shot in that 10 ring of the B8 in taped to a silhouette. And then the second shot was landing somewhere around the neck or mouth area on that target. Still, I don't want to do that. I'm not intending to do that. Yes, I know that I am causing that, and this is not at all a full auto gun, and I would never mess around with the innards of these guns to do anything wonky like that. But I don't even want something that goes there. I don't want that. I want the predictability of one trigger press, one shot, no slap on the finger that could induce that. So yeah. Now you guys who shoot AKs, you're gonna say, oh, you're just being a baby about it. And I understand that. And I've shot AKs a lot. And with that design, with the heft of those guns, and I'll just say it's not really that much of an issue there. But this trigger slap on this gun is much more pronounced and painful than the trigger slap I've had on any AK. So there you go, guys. This is not really one that I'd consider using for really anything. I probably won't keep this gun. Yeah. Guys, thanks for watching. And if you like this stuff, subscribe. Please do. Also, you want to keep this around, you want to help me do more of these videos, you want me to do more purchases like this just for review. Cool. Go on Patreon. There's a link in the description here. And sign up, show me some love. If you sign up at the all access level, you're going to get content on all of the stuff that nobody else sees. So I'm going to do another little video right now going over some of the ways to mitigate issues with these guns for you guys who have them. Guys, as always, thank you. Keep training. Stay safe.